Hello. Hello, everybody. I think I've got this working now. I'm still getting the hang of this streaming software that I'm using. So it's not going to be too long a stream today. I'm kind of thinking about giving you an update on this amazing nature journaling project that I've been doing, all about the wonderful Undercliffs Nature Reserve. This is a national nature reserve in the UK, located between uh, Devon and Dorset. So I think I even got a map here. This is a local walking map, and this is kind of showing the area. It's actually kind of split in two here. So we've got all of this coming from this way is my hometown, going all the way through this, and then continuing this way and getting to the lovely town of Lyme Regis in Dorset. So that's kind of the area that I'm focusing on. And there's a couple of videos up on YouTube already, which I'll link in the description when this is finished. And you'll be able to go and find those. Those are kind of when I first started the project and a little bit actually out in the reserve as well. So you can kind of see some of the beautiful sites, for example, white throats and yellow hammers, wild garlic, vetch, all of these incredible sites that I've been gathering for the last year on this nature reserve. And not only in photograph form, I've also been taking my nature journal out with me and getting some sketches. And importantly, for this project, working on mapping and actually mapping the ground. So while I'm actually out there, taking my pencil and this little sketchbook and mapping the routes that I'm walking as I kind of go along. And you can see a little bit of this, the start of this in those earlier videos. So it's an interesting way of nature journaling. It's something a little bit different. You might be used to seeing nature journals that are more like kind of your standard books. But this one, doing things differently, thinking more in terms of space than time. So each one of these pages is a different location along the path. And so I'm always adding these little observations, little quick sketches, but dates and kind of more like about what is actually there at any particular time in this area. And then in another area, I'll put down, when I explored it, what sorts of things that I saw there on that date. And then this way, you kind of build up this wonderful record of everything that you've found. And it's an interesting way of doing things. And the intention always was to also do a nature journal, a more typical nature journal alongside it, which is this one here. So some of you would have seen this one before, and I've been working on it for a little while. Here's a better map, incidentally, of the reserve. This is a map that I produced going from Seaton to Lyme Regis. And there's three routes on my in my project that I'm interested in. There's the one on the tops of the cliffs here, which I've marked in blue. There's the one going through the main reserve here, which I've marked in red. And then there's another one here that's marked in yellow going all the way along the bottom. Okay, cool. So that's kind of what's been going on. And you'll see in this book, there's an awful lot of blank pages. And, there's little bits where I have done things. I spent a lot of time on this page getting this one done. Uh, this is kind of the kind of work that takes about a week, probably, if you're doing about 3 or 4 hours a day, about a week to complete. And, you know, it was taking me a lot of time. And, as time's gone on, I've realized that I don't think that I'm actually going to fill this book because of the rest of the project being so demanding. So all of that time actually being spent out in the reserve, producing all of these observations for the later part of the project just kind of was taking up a little bit too much of my time. Can anyone tell me in the chat whether you can still hear me, whether it's going all right? Is it? Give me a. I can't actually see on here whether this is quite running. Anybody there? Never mind. I'll just carry on. I think hopefully it's going all right. If not, I can record this again afterwards. I'm just moving some books out of the way, and then I'm going to get on and show you what this project is really all about. So here we are. So great, thank you, Susan, for letting me know that it's working. I'm kind of not quite confident with this setup just yet. I'm glad it's going okay. So right now, some of you will know about this all already. This is the first ever road atlas, and this is called Britannia. It was produced by a man called John Ogilby. So here, absolutely stunning piece of work here, and this was very much my inspiration for the entire project. So how to relate this then to nature journaling, because it's very different mapping a route like was done here and actually nature journaling it. So just like Ogilby, I'm interested in a path. So those paths through the reserves are going to form these lines, on these maps here. And the intention is to create 3 very large maps in this style, but instead of just having these scrolls kind of all pushed together like this, I'm going to put all of the nature observations in between them. You can see I've kind of sketched it out a little bit here. So these are the strips. So these are the maps, these ones here. And then all of these gaps in between are going to be absolutely full of the kind of nature observations that I usually put in my nature journals. So although this is quite a large bit of paper, let's get the light on it a little bit. That's better. There we go. So although this is a really quite a large piece of paper, so this is an A2 size, so you can see by where my hand, how big this actually is. This is going to be actually double this size, so it's going to be pretty huge, which means all of these gaps here, there's going to be plenty of room to put down all of those nature observations. It's something quite exciting, something very different for me. So how do you go about then having a go at this? If you wanted to have a go at something like this yourself, how would you go about doing it? So I showed you this map book, and I think that this is the most important part. This is the part that's really doing the nature journaling. And it's very intentional. When you take a little book like this out with you, you're drawing a path as you go. You're writing down changes of direction, any areas where you're going up or down, like steep descents, ascents. I've written in when there's any kind of stairs or anything like that, steps going up and down, and what's on each side of the path as well. So that's the intentional nature journaling part of this. Also, while doing that, I'm taking lots of photographs and getting all of my observations together to put into this. But let's think about John Ogilby for a second and his team. He would have had a great team of people helping him to produce these maps. Now, in those days, they didn't have GPS, obviously. So they would have had a wheel that kind of goes around and it clicks as it goes, and they count the revolutions of the wheel, and that gives them the distances, and then they're measuring everything out that way. But the difficulty there that they found was that it doesn't quite take into account relief. So when you're going up and down, and that's where these mountains are that he's put in. You see, he's kind of indicated where we've got these areas of relief to try and kind of make it clear that there will be inaccuracies and that this is what the path is going through. So you know what to expect then when you're walking this road. But it's a funny way to think of things, isn't it? When you're your directions are being indicated by all these compass points. So you're constantly changing direction, but you can't actually see that very easily on the map. So when you're actually doing this outside, you have to also do the same. You have to indicate your changes of direction. The difficulty can be if you try to change direction, going up and down and round and about on the page, before long you're going to get into a muddle and end up off the page somewhere and then have to find, on the next page you'll have to try and start in a similar place. And it all gets very confused. I tried doing it that way. The easiest thing to do is just to write your directions along as you go. So they would have measured it all out back in John Ogilby's time. But because of GPS and modern systems, we don't actually have to do that. So on my phone, I've got the Ordnance Survey app, which is the mobile download that comes with these OS maps. So I expect you have similar in other countries, in the US or wherever you're watching from. And because all of that work has been done, let's find where we are here. So you've got this map. All of the work has been done with all of the careful mapping, positioning, putting in relief, the making sure that everything's to scale. That's all been done already. So we can skip that step. And what you have to do is when you're outside with this book, is to make sure that every now and again you're marking your position precisely using GPS and the OS map. I did this using these special trees. So I've done a little sketch of each tree, numbered it because the reserve has all of these listings of all the special trees that are there with numbers, and then taken a photo and a screenshot of where I am on the OS map. So if you imagine that this is up on my phone now, with the phone, it's fantastic because you can be zooming in and out and all of the rest of that. And you can really see exactly where you are with a little blue dot that tells you your exact position. So as long as you've got enough signal for a GPS, it will tell you exactly where you are. I can mark where that tree is in my book on this map, and then that puts everything into scale. So at every important landmark along here, I've got a position marker on my phone, I've got a position on the map, and I've got a position in this book on here. And that's how you make sure that everything's going to kind of all map up and be vaguely to scale in the final thing. So using all of that information then, we split all of these up, this whole route, up into 6, because on these big pages here, out of the way, we've got room for 6 of these scroll strips here. So based on that, you have to make sure that however many strips you're going to have on your final map, you split up your route accordingly. So it takes a little bit of careful measuring, sitting down with a ruler and working out the length of your path on the original map, then working out what you've done in this book, doing some maths. Hopefully you all like maths, and scale all of that accordingly. And then I've found exactly what my endpoints are going to be on each of these 6 strips. And I'm fairly lucky in where they fall because I've managed to find a landmark or the middle of a landmark in some cases that's pretty much exactly on the boundary of each of those strips. And that made everything easy because then I just had to fill in all the bits in between each of those landmarks. So it really is kind of quite a clever way of doing things and a very different way of doing things. But there we go. So I've just got a couple of people in the chat now. Just want to say hello to. We've got Pam, Susan, and Laura. Hello. And CGO. I'm not going to try and pronounce that because I will do you a terrible disservice, but a wonderful name. Oh, that's fantastic. They have said that they're thankful for me because they won a competition under my guidance and from my techniques, which I saw on YouTube. Brilliant. I'm glad that that has all worked out for you. And, you know, that people are finding this sort of thing useful. I know it's a little different from the constant barrage of sort of entertainment that you get on YouTube. This is kind of a little more on the sort of practical side and a little slower paced, I would say. A really kind of a slower paced sort of thing to be doing. Okay, so after we've drawn all of this out and I've got all of my position markers, I know exactly where everything's going to be. I've put a few little notes as to. I'm just going to change the lighting. Hold on a moment. I'm fed up with this. It's not quite bright enough. Let's see if that's a little bit better. What else I can do here? Hopefully that's a little bit better in terms of the lighting. There we go. Sorry about that. Just want to make sure that you can see everything. Okay. Let's move that out of the way. Right. One day I'll be all sorts of sorted out with this and I'll be doing this super professional and it will be amazing. But at the moment, not quite there. Right. Uh, the realities of live streaming. It's not happening. No, it's not right. I don't know what's happened here actually. That was working. Right. Is that any better in terms of the lighting? You actually see what's going on now. There we go. Right. I think that's a little bit better. I'm sorry there's a bit of a shadow on it now, but at least it's kind of a bit more visible. It's getting dark in the UK right now, so the light just gradually was disintegrating as I was speaking. Hi, Vicky. Okay. We're at a bit of an angle now with the camera, aren't we? That's better. Right. So as I was saying then, so all of these have now been worked out. I know where my points are at each end of each of the strips, and I've measured everything. It's kind of starting to get ready to go. So this is just the schematic here, and it's half the size of the final piece, which is going to, each of these three maps are going to be enormous. This here is a little key that's going to explain everything that you can see in the map. Here is going to be the information, just like the original by John Ogilby. See, he's got all of his information about the route up here and his lovely design. I'm going to replace this design here with a kind of a nature spread, a little bit like the detailed ones I do in my journals. So that's what's going to be up in here. Little key here, and then our strips down here. So after that, then, this is half the size, like I said. I then need to think about what it's going to look like at the full size, because these are going into an exhibition. I had to specify how big they're going to be. I had to work out that size already. And so then the next stage is to actually do one of these maps. So it's all kind of a bit sideways. I'm not sure I can even put it the right way up for you. But what we've got is the strip going this way. I've drawn in my route here, put in all of these little markings here that are going to show whether we're going up a slope or down a slope and where all the steps are. I put all of that in. We've got the compass point here. So this is the design that I think I'm probably going to use for putting in all the compasses across the whole map. And you can see down the bottom here that I'm kind of putting in how dense the trees are, whether it's open space, and then the curve of the scroll going away into the distance. So you can sort of see how that's going to work out if you imagine that there's going to be six of those going along the page in this direction. The entire route's going to be mapped out on here. And really, I've just got an absolute enormous amount of work to do now. Um, I need to finish this project off by kind of about mid-April. And that means all of these maps done and ready to go and be framed. And then there's going to be two exhibitions here in the summer. So they're going to be up in Lyme Regis in the town that all of this relates to, a very special place that's really amazing for preserving nature, that people have cared, you know, enough to leave these areas and for them to be adopted as nature reserves. So it's a great place to be, and it's a perfect place to be sharing all of these maps when they're done. So yeah, loads of work to do, and you're going to see quite a bit of this because I'm going to make some proper YouTube videos as well, um, about how the last phases of this project go, from finishing off all of these maps and then getting them hung, and how the exhibition goes. I'll be reporting back on all of that as well, and hopefully it'll be a really good summer that's all tied into this. Now, those of you that are aware of the nature journal that goes with this, so I showed you it at the beginning. Um, all of this work that was going to go alongside it. Yeah, there's already too much to do. So Pam has said it's a mammoth task. There's a lot already just in doing these maps, and then along with the maps, I've got to prepare the materials for the maps are going to be sold as well. Small, so much smaller form, but they're going to have a little bit of writing with them, and also some materials about what nature journaling is and how people can start doing it, all to go in the exhibition as well. So all of that's happening. And then there's this little book. And I was very ambitious. I thought that I could fill this. I've done pages like this one. Um, and I thought that it would be fine and I'd have enough time to do this book and do these maps and it would all work out. But because everything else has been going on, like my online membership that some people here are a member of, and other projects as well, in-person teaching, all of these things that I do, I've not actually had time to really spend in this book. And there's another reason as well that I've decided that I might put this book to one side, and that's related to Midori Cotton. So these books, they've been recommended on my website for a while. There's two there. Let's put so that's straight. There we go. These two books, um, they look kind of the same. This one is the one that I did back in 2019 to 2021. All of the work in here has already been done. So, I did an awful lot and I really enjoyed doing this colored pencil on this paper. And I've been recommending it to everybody on my YouTube channel and from my website ever since. I've been recommending this book and this paper. It's absolutely fantastic. But I made a bit of a discovery, that what I'd done is order the wrong book. So this second one here, this is MD paper rather than MD cotton. It was a little bit cheaper, but only by about, I think only by about £2 or £3. And the last time that I went into the London Graphics Centre, I picked up this little book by Midori. It kind of explains all of their the papers that they've got and what kind of products that they have. And I realised that MD Notebook here and MD Cotton are on two different pages and are actually two different ranges. And this one is the MD paper rather than the MD cotton. And I was concerned when doing some of these coloured pencil works in here, and particularly ones like this, I was finding that I didn't get to put down many layers of coloured pencil before the wax would start to bloom. What I call waxing out in my online materials. It becomes a massive problem that if you can't keep on blending and keep on blending until you've got the color that you want, and then you get the wax bloom, you've got a problem. And I find that good papers like hot press watercolor paper and cotton papers will allow you to continually blend and blend and blend. So when doing things like this one, you see there's quite a lot of detail in here. I was finding that I didn't get far enough um, before I had to stop, and I was very confused because I thought, oh, maybe the quality has gone down on these books, or they've changed their blend or something like that. But actually, what it was that I'd ordered the wrong one. And so there we are. I'm kind of a bit stuck. I've got a half finished nature journal here in a book that I don't particularly think that I'm going to finish and don't think that I want to because the paper's wrong. Um, I was expecting something more like the experience that I got from this one. And it was quite interesting actually looking in this. Um, the difference isn't very much. I mean, the paper thickness is very, very similar between both of these. It's very difficult to tell the difference if you're just looking. Um, it's 20% extra cotton. So 20% of the blend in this one is cotton, and this one doesn't contain the cotton. And that is enough for it to be a completely different experience when you're drawing in the coloured pencil. It's enough for it to be a bit of a problem. So that's where I kind of stand with this. So I've got all of these lovely drawings in here, like this one. What am I going to do with these now? Because you know, it's not going to be a finished project, and they're all bound into this book. Ones that are on a double page spread, like this one, are even worse. I don't know quite how I'm going to manage that. I think probably it will be a matter of getting them scanned in and then using the designs elsewhere. I might use them in the materials that are going to support the map, and so that there's lots of extra bits and bobs. Nothing that you ever produce is wasted. You know, just think of it like that. Nothing that you ever produce is wasted. You you will have learnt something. I massively learnt about that I picked up the wrong paper, and I won't do that again. I'm going to go through all of my affiliate links and make sure that I'm linking the right product because I might have accidentally sent some people to the wrong sketchbook. Um, and also, you know, all of these drawings, they can be used in something else. It's not like it matters too much that I'm not going to be finishing this book off. So that was kind of what I'm calling my big Midori Cotton disaster. I really messed up here between these two books. But you can see why I made the mistake. They look pretty much identical, except just right here. This one says MD Cotton on it, and this one says MD Paper on it. And that's the only way I could tell. So a little frustration there, but you know, it kind of it forces my hand to make sure that the maps are what all gets all of the attention now until the end of the project, and I'll just set this aside. Now, those of you who are in the Nature Journaling Circle, which is my online membership for teaching nature journaling, will know that the last theme was what is a nature journal. And I was really interested in exploring this topic. And we had a wonderful discussion as a group. I did a little talk about it in the tutorial session. And there's also a blog up, which I'll link in the description, which is free for anyone to go and read on the topic, what is a nature journal or what is nature journaling? And I think personally that I kind of got a bit carried away here with wanting to do a traditional nature journal as well, um, as well as doing this map project, because I felt that a nature journal needed to be a book. I needed to make a book if I'm going to make a nature journal about the Undercliffs. And I've done a complete 180 on that, not just because I'm running out of time or because the paper's wrong, but because I think that a nature journal can be lots of different things. And I've managed to convince myself quite readily that this is going to be the nature journal, that these maps, the way that they're going to be done with all the observations around them, that is the nature journal that is being produced for 2023 to 2024. So it's not like I've skipped a load of time and I haven't been nature journaling. I've just been producing something in a different format, um, that should end up being really beautiful, something a little bit different, and hopefully will inspire people to go and have a go at looking at their environment in this way. I think that mapping alongside nature journaling, bringing that kind of geographical side of things in, can be really positive, and it really sets you into place in a very similar way that nature journaling does when doing your observations that way. So I think that that's all I wanted to say for today. Um, I've I'm going to make sure that I put up a few more videos that are all about this, with better lighting um, and better production. I think the only other thing that I wanted to say today, really, apart from all of this, is that I'm going to carry on doing these lives on YouTube at the start of every month, and you'll see as time goes on, the um, the production will get better because I'm going to get some better equipment, and you know things I will improve at doing this as I go along. The nice thing about doing lives this way is that it's very informal. I can talk to you in the chat. It's really nice. And I don't have to edit it afterwards, because editing, sitting at a computer editing, takes too long. And I was struggling to do that when I was trying to do more YouTube videos. So I'm going to keep on doing these lives. And what will be really fun, I'm thinking, is we're going to do some cool sketching. So this is a sketch that's going to be done with the Nature Journaling Circle. So this is our theme for this coming month, is we're going to be doing field sketching. We're going to be sketching birds, learning how to draw birds quickly. And that's going to be, 1 hour tutorial on Zoom. Usually it runs, it's for an hour recorded with time for questions afterwards. It's usually between 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock UK time. So if you're in an area where that's going to work out for you, you could consider coming and joining us. Um, in these YouTube lives, I'm going to be doing a bit of sketch along. So you can, each month you can come along and a little bit like what we do in the nature journaling circle, but I won't be teaching quite so much. I'll just be sketching, and you can join sketching with whatever's on the screen. Like you could be sketching these lapwings right now. And I'm just going to do that first Thursday of every month, 4 o'clock UK time here on YouTube. And then in between those, there's going to be um, a traditional, in more standard pre recorded YouTube video as well, which I'll put up each month. So the next YouTube video, proper YouTube video, will be up some point this month, and it's going to be called What is a Nature Journal? All about that topic. So you can get a sneak peek of that if you go read the blog. Um, yeah, I think that's about all. It will be really nice to be doing this sketching with you. Doing a little bit of work. Hey, little bit of work on these lapwings, or whatever else it is that we're going to be sketching each time. And I just think that it's going to be really nice to get everybody together on YouTube once a month, doing some sketching and nature journaling together. And if you want a bigger experience with loads of teaching, you can come and join us all in the Nature Journaling Circle. And I'll leave the link to that as well. So thanks everybody for joining me for this very strange little catch up. I'm glad that the tech mostly worked, apart from the lighting, which I'll sort out before next time. And yeah, it's been really good. So I'll end the stream there, and I'll see you all soon. Bye everybody.